विकास स्टार्ट किया है और भारत इसके बाद के लिए गर्व से सकता है। दुनिया में आप मिला करके बात कर सकते हैं। और ये मेरा साथ में हमेशा कहता है IT plus IT is equal to IT. Information technology plus Indian talent is equal to India tomorrow.
Hi, very good evening. सभी को नमस्कार. A warm welcome to the 21st World Education Summit Middle East on our day one showstopper panel of day one. And here we are going to discuss and deliberate on most important and discussed topic right now. And currently, right now it's on the trend right now. That is artificial intelligence, AI in classrooms, challenges and opportunities ahead. It is the most vital topic as is the new technologies that are going to introduce, that are introducing, it is penetrating the education domain day by day. So to discuss and deliberate on this particular topic, I would like to introduce the panelists and the speakers of this session. First of all, I would like to welcome Mr. Pramod Mahajan, School Director, Principal, Sahaja Indian School from Sahaja. Welcome, Pramod sir. Welcome, Dr. Pramod sir. Thank you for giving your precious time to the World Education Summit. And I would like to welcome Mr. Safruddin Hanikat, Principal, Crescent in English High School, Dubai. Thank you, Safruddin, sir. Thank you very much for giving your precious time to World Education Summit. And thanks for accepting our invitation. I would like to welcome Ms. Teresha Varman, Principal and CEO, James Millennium School, Sharjah. Thank you, Teresha, ma'am. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation for joining us at World Education Summit. And I would like to welcome Mr. Anthony Koshi, Principal, Global Indian International School from Dubai. Thank you, Anthony, sir. Thank you very much for giving your precious time to the World Education Summit. And I would like to welcome Mr. Ritesh Dhanak, Chief Innovation Digital Officer, James Modern Academy from Dubai. Thank you, Ritesh. Thank you very much for accepting your invitation. So, I would like to request all my audience, if you have any questions in your mind regarding the artificial intelligence or any other technologies that are penetrating right now the education domain, put your question in the Q&A section. We will take it live after this discussion part. So, first of all, I would like to take the opening remarks from each panelist for maximum 4 to 5 minutes regarding artificial intelligence in the classroom, how they are seeing this technology penetrating the education, and what are the future aspects of this technology in the current education system, terms of physical as well as in the virtual segment. So I would like to welcome Mr. Dr. Pramod Rajan to give his opening remarks regarding this topic. Pramodji, please.
Yeah, good evening. Salam alaikum, namaste, namaskaram from UAE, Sharjah. Artificial intelligence is changing the complete scenario of the teaching learning process. Nowadays, students have become the independent learner. Teachers are scaffolder, and the classes are become learning hub. And lot of experiential learning, project-based learning, and the research-based learning is going on. To provide the project-based learning, research-based learning, and to scaffold the 21st century students, to scaffold this Z generation, we required variety of the devices, variety of the component, and for that, none other than the artificial intelligence is used nowadays. Artificial intelligence deals with reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, and artificial intelligence has opened the door for the students to ensure that what they want to learn, how they want to learn, where they want to learn, and what sort of learning makes them happy. This artificial intelligence has given a path to the teachers to scaffold the students in a proper way. But one thing is there, whatever be the technological advancement is there, innovation, creativity, critical thinking, risk taking, these aspects are still leading. What I mean to say, artificial intelligence, all sort of technological aspects, they are supporting to the teaching learning process, they are helping to the teaching learning process, but it is the student, it is the teacher, it is the curriculum, and it is the school which has to take the teaching learning process a step ahead. Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore used to say that don't teach the child the way you were taught. At the same time, the new global trend in the education is maximum learning outcomes comes from the minimum intervention. So if the teacher has to minimally intervene during the teaching learning process, they have to depend on the technology. But one thing is very clear, and it's my firm belief that students has to embrace the technology instead of becoming the techno addict. Teachers has to explore the machine instead of becoming the machine. Machine learning helps the teachers, helps the students to go beyond. But the thought process, thinking process, thinking beyond the box, rather than throwing the box out, these are the techniques which will take the teaching learning process a step ahead. And for that, artificial intelligence is providing a solid platform on which the students can jump high, jump in such a manner that even the sky is not the limit for them, sky is just beginning for them. So that is my opening remark for the use of artificial intelligence.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Pramod Mahajanji, for this wonderful opening remarks, for ensuring that AI can be used where want to use, when want to use, and why want to use. So I would like to invite Ms. Teresa Verman, Principal and CEO, James Millennium School, Sharjah, to share her opening remarks on this topic and how she sees the future regarding the implementation of AI and what is the impact, ma'am. Teresa, ma'am, over to you.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much
Very good
for
evening, ma'am.
having this platform because I think it's so pertinent. Certainly, AI is the buzzword, and we are going to be seeing more of it. We've all talked to Alexa, we've all talked to Siri, and children do it so very effortlessly. And just to take from what Dr. Pramod Mahajan said, uh, we really have to make sure that we don't limit students to our own learning. They're living in a different time, and we really have to cater to that time. What we found at school, we really started in earnest, I think, in a very different level of focus in 2016. And we started with 2 labs. And we right now have 8 labs specifically for this purpose, because we recognize that the future is here. We have a very design and build approach. So our approach is not theoretical. Right from pre-kindergarten to KG, they're sitting and building. So they're building across the school. And what we've seen is they are doing real groundbreaking stuff. What works very well is that when it comes to artificial intelligence, it meets the needs of students. It's relevant to teachers. It's relevant to parents. So where it comes to students, certainly things like problem solving and creative thinking, and when you talk about the very cliche thinking out of the box, it's not just thinking out of the box, but it's also taking it to the next level and doing stuff that has not been done before. Uh, Millions and millions of dollars have been spent on cancer research, and apparently the best solution has come from children. So we kind of underestimate what children can do and the impact that they can make, and we've seen that happening in the school. So to give you an example of some of the groundbreaking work that some children have done, is that they have taken mind waves, tapped into mind waves, and created toys that move according to your mind waves. They've taken that a step further to help children with ADHD to actually channelize their energies, and that is tremendous. So, from a student's point of view, and from the classroom point of view, yes, you have intuitive technology, and you have educational software. And you can teach the theory of it. CBSE has introduced it in school as well, and that's a great step in the right direction. But I think we also need to take it out from inside a textbook and bring it practically alive, because that's what's going to really make the difference.
Thanks, Teresa ma'am. Thank you for this wonderful opening remarks. And we will, in the further discussion, we will see how AI is have a long-term impact, and is our teachers' job is safe? Is it
Yeah.
impacting only on the academician or other non-teaching staff also, ma'am? We will discuss further, ma'am. So I would like to invite Mr. Anthony Kosi, Principal, Global Indian International School, Dubai, to share his opening remarks on this artificial intelligence. Is this AI is only a buzzword, or is surely going to impact on the education system? Anthony, sir, over to you.
Thank you, Abhishek. My greetings to all the panelists here. It's my privilege to be a part of this illustrious group of principals. Um, I would like to start with the Global Education 2030 Agenda, SDG 4. I mean, it states that ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. If you look at it, it's a very, very ambitious goal to be achieved by 2030. It can't be done without the influx of or inducing technology and artificial intelligence. Technology, just 2 years back, let's say one year, 8 months back, we were all talking about it. Many schools had it, different countries had it, developed, in varied degrees that they had implemented these into their teaching. However, what the pandemic taught us was that people whom we believed can never use technology also ended up using it. And while technology was still being talked about, although, as I told you, many schools here, at least in UAE, we were fortunate enough to have a lot of it into our educational system. It has never, nothing comparable to what technology we used the last 2 years. Obviously, first technology would come and then artificial intelligence. Now that the use of technology has been accelerated so much, You can't leave artificial intelligence far behind. It's just knocking on the door. And this I can say very clearly because I was involved in a project where first time that I got involved in something, like artificial intelligence in education. It started as a small experiment with a group which came into my school where I used to work earlier to start a tool to help better the learning outcomes. And we ended up developing a very strong app called Smiles, and now it's being used in some schools in UAE. Uh, so what started as a mere experiment opened my view to all these this whole thing about artificial intelligence being there in the education system. And I am very sure that it is going to be there. And recent studies show that the AI industry in education is going to increase by 5%. And between 2017 to 2021, the growth has been 50%. And these are statistics which are given in the UNESCO documents. So AI is here to stay, and as the discussion goes ahead, we'll pick on the opportunities as well as the challenges. It is definitely not going to throw the teachers out, although both teachers as well as students will have newer competencies which will enable them to be in an AI powered education world. Thank you.
Thank you, Antony ji. Well said that AI will not throw teachers, educators, but it will make a remarkable impact on this education system. And we will discuss in the second round what challenges and what opportunities AI brings to us. So I will move on to Mr. Ritesh Dhanak for his opening remark as he is the Chief Innovation Officer of GEMS at Modern Academy. So Ritesh ji, what new innovation that AI will bring to the education?
So first of all, it's a pleasure to be here amongst everybody here, and I
Same
could
here,
actually
same here.
pick on a lot of points which is being made by Dr. Mahajan, Teresa ma'am, and sir before me, sir I cannot see the name right now, but I think
Anthony,
yeah, and
Anthony.
Teresa, sorry, Teresa, I'm sorry for that, but I mean, as said before, AI is not going to replace the teachers. It is going to be an arena where teachers and students will need to coexist with the AI to make the learning process more uh, engaging and more definitive for our students. In my opinion, AI alone is not going to be the future of classroom. It's going to be the combination of technologies such as big data, such as gamification, machine learning, etc. The major impact point that I see as educator here is that it's going to be making the learning process much smoother for students. In fact, these days you can see students coming up with ideas which are impacting the real world. Like Teresa ma'am said, we had students who are reading the brain and making toys which are moving through the brain. The same way during the pandemic, I think the speed at which the acceleration of technology adoption was happening has really increased. I think it's our job as educators to facilitate that for our students. And hopefully, in the next two rounds that we speak about here, we will share some more thoughts on opportunities and challenges during the entire discussion. So that would be my
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks, Ritesh ji. And Ritesh ji, I also like to ask you, please introduce the astronaut that is behind yourself.
Yeah, okay. I was going to do that in the second round, but yeah, I have this cute little girl called Snow. So she's a co-creation between my students and a company from China. We are trying to
Okay.
create something that can actually help teachers around in the classroom. It doesn't replace the teacher. It's just a substitute for something that teacher would be just normally doing without. We're trying to replace the repetitive task the teacher is doing. So we are not replacing
Okay.
the teacher. We are making
Sure.
teacher free to do more meaningful things for the students.
Thanks, Nitesh. We will discuss on this on the
Sure.
further discussion. So moving on to the Safruddin ji. Safruddin ji, what do you think regarding the AI, and is it a more brings more opportunities or it brings the challenges as well? Safruddin ji, over to you.
Good afternoon, all.
Very good afternoon, sir.
Thank you so much for having me in this platform. And I think this is a great discussion right now. It is the need of the hour. And we have seen the world is taken a big step, a huge step actually in technology during this pandemic time, which could happen maybe 5 or 10 years. It happened in a year. So the main challenge what we are facing, the education also should go along with that. The education needs to take a bigger step to reach to that changes what happened. But fortunately, we have seen the resilient nature of our teachers. They have taken a great step to accommodate that technological changes happen in overnight, and our teachers have done wonderful job in accommodating the technology. Those teachers were not tech savvy. They have shown a great job to use the online platform for teaching, and also how to make it inclusive more on it. So that is one thing I can say. And the other things are, yes, artificial intelligence is definitely important for learning how to use it, and also what we need to look at the not the consumers but the producers actually. That's why I think CBSE has given a great support for all its schools by introducing the integrated different subjects were integrated to the artificial intelligence. That was a big step given by the National Education Policy and CBSE actually, and it definitely gives a flashlight to literate the artificial intelligence to even the common man. Because when we are stepping into a car, we know that that moment itself, artificial intelligence is starting. When you are using the phone inside the car, or when you are using Siri, or when you are using Alexa. So all these everywhere you can see everywhere artificial intelligence is visible now. Even in the testing assessment area, you have seen that artificial intelligence is using for assessment and data analysis. Wherever you can see it, it becomes a normal. It's just a starting actually. So I think this is a great step that CBSE has taken to introduce this artificial intelligence into everywhere. And we have started in grade one onwards, artificial intelligence introduced there, and it's keep going on. Now every class is having artificial intelligence and robotics, and set up the lab for robotics and coding classes. All these are really interesting actually because there is a lot of chances in job market for gaming, and students are always interested for gaming. So definitely they have the curiosity how to make the games. So this is what we need to exploit from the student side, because as Dr. Mahajan said earlier, that the curiosity we have to utilize from the students, what they need to teach instead of what we need to teach them. So this is a very important message actually. And I would like to quote this what late Sheikh Rashid, the founder of Dubai, has given an answer for a question asked how your country, what is the country's future? What is this country's future? He replied, my grandfather rode a camel. My father rode a camel. I ride a Mercedes. My son rides a Land Rover, and my grandson is going to ride a Land Rover. But my great grandson is going to have to ride a camel again. The message in this he has given, he's tried to give hard times create strong men. Strong men creates easy time. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create difficult times. So why what this message is giving actually, we have to raise warriors, not parasites. So this is the question we needed to ask ourselves to provide the opportunities as a school. What as a school we have to give to provide opportunities to students to understand, to learn about the technology behind the artificial intelligence, how it is working. So I think that is my opening remark. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Safruddin ji. Strong and wonderful opening remark regarding the future prospects and regarding the how technology should be used and granted. So by this we will take up the first round of this opening remarks. Now we will start the second round regarding the deep and the future impact of the AI. So I will start again with the Pramod Mahajanji. Pramod, sir, that in your opening remarks you have given the positive aspects of AI. That AI will not remove teachers, it will work together with the academicians and the students. But if we see on the long-term impacts, Pramod sir, AI has taken the hiring process of the school. AI is impacting. Right now, we are inserting in the assessment process of the school. In most of the process of the schools and institutes, AI is going to introduce. So it is reducing the job scenarios for the first of all non-teaching staff. Then comes to the academic part. If AI is doing the well work, then automatically the jobs for the academicians and educators will be reduced. So Pramod sir, are you not seeing that AI will reduce the job in future? Educator will be less, and AI will be taken more space in the education rather than the right now than the physical mode, or in right now we are working in what traditional modes. To promote, sir, if we take the example of banks, we are not going banks right now physically anymore. We are doing virtually each and everything. Same can be implied on the education if the AI is implemented on the so powerful manner. Dr. Pramod, sir, your inputs.
Yeah. See, number one, AI is not going to replace the teacher and the teaching process at all. Not at all. AI will be supporting the teachers. AI will be creating new opportunities. Now, Mr. Saifuddin, a very close friend of mine, he has given the example of a very nice example of data-driven schooling. Now, after the introduction of the AI, more non-teaching people will be engaged in collecting the data from 360 degree. So the number of the employees will increase. More people will work on the authenticity of the data, reliability of the data, and they will find out the new tools of collecting the true data for taking the teaching learning process ahead. So proper feedback about the learning process, where the child is, what is the competency of the child is, and where the learner can reach, that was not known before. Now we know that thing, what is the competency of the child and where we can keep that child. That will be done by the data analysis. Who will do the data analysis? Our people only. Who will provide them the data? The teachers only. And when they are providing the 360 degree data, they have to work on the different zone. Not only academics, but the competency based teaching learning process. Not only the competency based teaching learning process, but how the child is future fit, whether the child is ready to accept the challenges of the future. Now, if you say AI is dominating the teaching learning process, it is not the reality. The ground reality is what? Whatever be the language we are learning today. You take the case of Python. Now, world is behind a Python. Trust me, believe me, by 2023, Python will be outdated. Something new will come. Now the question arises, whatever 2 3 years we have learned about the Python, that is outdated or what? No, that will not be outdated. But yes, if we train the students that if you learn the Python, if any new language is coming, you can write that language using the knowledge of the Python. That role only AI will do. And the teaching learning process will be spread over the 360 degree, and by that way number of jobs will increase. The World Economic Forum has given this prediction: by 2030, 20 billion jobs will be created, and only 3.18 billion jobs were under threat. That is not my figure. That is the data given by the World Economic Forum. What does it mean? It means that AI is opening the new venture. Now the question arises, will your degrees and will your diplomas and your that will play a vital role with AI? No. How skill based you are, how competent you are, irrespective of your degrees, your experiences, your PhDs, and your whatever you have learned. Whatever you have learned, how effectively you can apply in the unknown scenarios, unknown situation, that will support you. And in that area, AI will not play the role. I wanted to quote a very good example, that fighter pilot Abhinandan. He was, that plane was just like an outdated one. No AI, nothing was there in that. He just like in the language of the aircraft, it is just like a bullock cart. And another craft was AI dominated,
Driven.
360-degree, best available in the world. What is the outcome? Who won? The competency of the Abhinandan, the skills of the Abhinandan. And like that, AI can be helpful, but not beyond the skill, not beyond the competencies, not beyond the critical thinking, not beyond the application level. So it has, the time has come. The time has come that we have to teach, or we have to train, or we have to adopt that sort of style by which the students will enhance their meta skills, skills about learning about how to learn, retaining about
Hmm.
how to retain, applying about how to apply, understanding about how to understand. Then whatever with the device will come, they are able
Hmm.
to apply that thing. Now
Thank.
Alexa is helping you. Okay, a day will come that Alexa will be outdated. Then what? Then they create the Demona, create the
Hmm.
Alexa. Who will create that thing? The students will create that thing, and then another job
Hmm.
opportunities will be there. So jobs are there for a person who is future fit. Now,
Thank-
today's educator has to make the schooling process future fit. And what is future fit schooling? Answer those questions which are yet to be asked. Think about those technologies which are yet to be invented. Think about those issues which are yet to be raised. If we are answering that question can be answered by your critical thinking, by your innovation, by your thought process, not by the AI. But yes, in that process of critical thinking, AI will provide you the data. AI will tell you whether you are on the right track or not. To tracking
thank-
yourself in a proper way, AI will be helpful, but it is you, and only you who can change the world. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Pramod sir. Thank you very much for this wonderful inputs. And you have just clarified that AI has certain limitations, and that can be only the human beings that can be developed through critical thinking, innovations, and the analytics and the data-driven organization will be the future. So coming to the Tessa ma'am, yes, Tessa ma'am, my question to you is that everything is becoming smart nowadays, ma'am. Now we are talking about smart school, smart human beings, smart this, smart everything. So by adopting certain technologies, can only schools become smart, ma'am? And in addition, ma'am, does technologies like AI will brings only the opportunities? What are the challenges that right now schools are facing in terms of AI, ma'am? Tessa ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Abhishek. That's a really nice question. Immediately when you talk in terms of AI and you feel that it's only the privileged schools or the privileged communities that can benefit from it, and there can be no further, that's such a misconception, because it's not about resources, it's about resourcefulness, and it's about how resourceful you are going to be. So to be smart, I mean, smart has very different connotations. We talk about children being street smart. We, you don't. There are different smarts We know that some are verbal smart, some are kinesthetic smart, and you know about all the different intelligences. So the word smart in this particular concept, when it comes to all things AI, the challenge is to recognize an opportunity and to be able to build on that opportunity. So the simplest excuse is, oh, I don't have the funds, and therefore I can't bring in smart technology into the classroom. But I think increasingly what this last year and a half has taught us is that where there is a will, there is a way, and it can be done. All over the world, and I truly feel blessed about having been in this part of the world, because we've been able to bring that technology and all of the goodness of the technology into every class, just to make sure that the children don't have what we increasingly understand as the learning loss. So it's about how resourceful a teacher is and how she brings that aspect out into, because at the end of the day, behind every smartness is problem solving, is critical thinking. It is about doing things that have never been done before. It's about having an original thought, an original idea, and running with it. That does not need money. That just
Thanks,
needs
Tessa
to,
ma'am. And my addition to Tessa ma'am, that our all points are coming to the stop at the critical thinking, ma'am. So
yeah.
what best practices we are doing to enhance that critical thinking, ma'am?
So critical thinking is something that should start very, very young, and it really should be about giving children questions rather than answers. Typically, what happens is a child comes running to mommy and daddy and says, "Ask a question," and without hesitation, the parents give the answer. And I think that is one thing that we need to start very young, uh, teaching children to find their own answers, or having a dialogue with them and getting them to derive the answer rather than presenting these ready made answers. Uh, no child is too small for that. You have the younger children asking a lot of whys, and that's the best age to catch them. Never stop them from asking the whys, and then automatically that level of smartness is definitely going to kind of increase and improve, and that's going to take them into the future.
Thanks, Tessa ma'am. Thank you very much for this wonderful inputs. And I request our audience to please put your questions as soon as possible. So we are at the second round. So after third round, we can take any questions also. So moving on to Anthony sir, as Tessa ma'am just raised the point regarding the funds. So Anthony sir, my question is to you, as technology is changing, deployment of technologies, enhancement of technologies in the campus, bringing the skilled faculty, training the faculty that need funds. Some schools can manage, major schools are not managing. So, Anthony, sir, what are your suggestions and the best practices to the other schools also that can deploy good and enhanced technology in their campuses, and how they can manage the fund resources by collaboration or any other best practices? Anthony, sir, you want to highlight, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Abhishek. Abhishek, when you look at bringing in AI into education, and if you explore the potential of AI in education, one of them is equity and access. Okay, and one of the challenges is what you said, is that training of teachers to be able to handle AI powered education. Now, since you raised something like how it would be, and it is a very glaring, whatever we say, some schools are the haves and some are the have-nots. All right. So let's say a scene where you have certain schools being able to bring in AI and the tools required for the infrastructure. They create the ecosystem, which is conducive to AI being AI powered education. What the other schools do, one of the advantages of having AI is that it promotes a lot of collaboration and between you know, between among students, and it can always be extended to the schools. So one way would be, see, long time back, I'm just digressing a little bit. Uh, KHDA has our regulators have a school inspection system, and schools have a rating. And few years back, there was a program called Abundance. I'm sure that it exists now also. And within that program, many schools made partner schools of a higher rating. So my suggestion would be, and it is there. I am somebody who believes that AI is already here, and there is no question about us thinking that AI would come into education or no. No, it is there already. It is, you know, spread its tentacles all over, and it's going to have a big grip. So it's best for schools to get into partnerships with some other school which has already got, and that's possibly the only way ahead. They can get associated with the corporates, and they do it, big companies, they involve with themselves in education as a service project. So they can get involved with NGOs and big corporates, uh, digital companies, which would help them. However, the challenges will remain. It's not so easy for us to, that even for a school. What I want to say is that AI cannot run with 10 schools and not run with the remaining 50 schools. That's not the most conducive, situation where, or a scenario where AI should be, because AI is all about data. Now, imagine if you get data from all the good schools and not from the schools which are not performing, or which are lesser privileged. Always you get a polarized data, and that's one of the challenges of getting AI into this current world. That is genuinity of data, and you will say it is an actually a ethical part of the challenges. So you cannot have a system where you will have, and such a large inequity there. The purpose of AI is to bring in equity and access to education. So I am sure that if AI does come into, apart from the suggestions that I gave, if AI does come into our UAE, and it will come definitely, UAE being a privileged society here, I believe that. So the regulators will come up with some policies which will enable all the schools to have a fair share of AI and its developments. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony sir, and I hope such policy will come in every country so that each and every school will get help from the technologies like AI and other technologies. So moving to Ritesh sir, that right now Anthony sir just raised the point like AI is all about data, and right now we are seeing data-driven organizations are more enhanced, more smarter, and working more, what we can say, more future ready, sir. So, Ritesh, sir, how you define that school can be more skilled to use that data analytics, or we need other technologies like big data analytics for the implementation AI of this? What is the future ahead with this? To implement one technology, we need another technology, or we are self-efficient to deploy such kind of technology in our organization?
Right. Thank you, Abhishek. That's a really good question. So I would actually start by making a statement that, right now, Python, which is being used by everybody for data analytics, is free. The data that you get from your students at school is free. The Windows systems are already in your school. The phones are giving you suggestions based on what you do on the phone, right? So AI is actually already penetrated every sphere of a student's life, a teacher's life, and what they're doing on their devices, right? So 3 points where AI could really make an impact with the data that we already have are curriculum, the environment the students are in, and personalization. These are the three major areas where AI could make a difference. And you spoke about how could it be used effectively in terms of teacher training, or how could the teachers be trained in terms of AI. So I suggest that there should be some kind of a case study which is done in the school, within the school. I believe in action research. You should try and set up some teams which are actually taking data and showing the impact of doing the analysis of the data to impact the learning in the classroom. If the learning in the classroom is not going to impact by use of new systems, it's not going to really have any impact on teaching and learning process. So for me, it's always going to be get your teachers used to the systems that you are actually implementing, not by having 1 2 hour sessions with them, but by hand holding them at smaller point of time. We usually do micro PEs of 15 20 minutes for teachers in terms of use of systems like Power BI, or systems like Python based programs which are available to us free of cost. So without investment, we are doing analytics for teachers to triangulate their data and understand the students better. Because ultimately, it's all about understanding your students better, right? If you can understand your students better, you're going to be able to differentiate effectively and make pathways for them to learn on their own. So that's what is most important for us as educators.
Thanks, Ritesh. Thank you very much for highlighting such point regarding the curriculum and regarding the teachers training. So I would like to move on to Saifuddin sir. Saifuddin ji, we have talked about this AI and implementation. Right now, I want to move on regarding the skill and the upskilling of the teachers and the faculty to use such kind of technology. So Saifuddin ji, what do you think? How we can upskill our teachers? Should we have to rely on the third party, or should we can enhance by ourselves by resilience system, by making a resilient system so that teachers can upskill themselves by talking to each other, by using the data analytics. Saifuddin sir, what best practices can we do?
Thank you for that question, actually, because this is very important when we are implementing a new change in our school system. Definitely, teachers' development, professional development programs are more important to equip them to the new change. So, when we look at this during this pandemic time, there is no boundaries for getting the resources, human resources, or any help from any part of the world. Right now, we are being getting a lot of information about different professional development programs, which is free of cost. Particularly, I can say a lot of professional development has been given by CBSE itself, and Sahodaya complex. Sahodaya have been given. Bharat Sahodaya has been given so many professional development programs. CBSE itself have been arranged many professional development for teachers, particularly integrated with the different subjects. So this is all actually very helpful for the teachers for getting their subject learned. And as it is teaching to the teachers, actually, as every educator should be a lifelong learner. So this is the best opportunity to realize that yes, we are not completely educated. We have to learn and relearn whatever we have learned earlier. As it was mentioned earlier, that many languages which they have learned may not be working right now. It is outdated. So new languages they have to learn, machine languages they have to learn, update their knowledge. So during this pandemic time, that is one of the advantage for all the teachers have been received, that yes, they have to wake up to meet the needs of the hour. So definitely it is very important. And also the other aspect of the AI, artificial intelligence, we can see that 50% of their teaching time all the teachers are using for data analysis, or some kind of clerical work or management, classroom management. But you look at the aspect of the implementation of the AI in the curriculum, or you can see the data analysis area. It saves the time of the teachers, actually. It helps the teachers to use their maximum time to interact with the students. so that in the classroom you can utilize their time to interact with the students and to get maximum questions from the students instead of asking maximum questions to the students. So this is the most important part. Actually, as earlier Ms. Teresa has mentioned, that to develop the creativity among children, we have to encourage the students to ask questions, and we have to encourage the students and create a situation in the classroom to have a free failing. You know, students should not have a shy to ask the questions. We have to give the freedom for faith in the classroom. So this is the only way that we have to motivate the children and to come up to a good learning environment. This is what is my opinion actually about the teacher training program.
Thanks, Saprudin. Thank you very much for regarding the teachers training, and you have majorly highlighted the points that will enhance the teachers and their faculty part as well. And as the only 5 minutes left out for this discussion part, so I will take quickly the 1 minute time of each panelist, as each panelist is one of the decision maker of their school, leading from the front regarding the betterment of the school, regarding the future of the students, regarding the maintaining the quality of education, and regarding the deployment of the technology. So I will like to ask Dr. Pramod sir in 1 minute. Pramod sir, any suggestions to other owners of the schools, not in terms of the Middle East, in terms of the global education, that what best practice to be followed to create the digital intelligence as an owner, that what kind of technology to implement, how to maintain the quality of education so that their student become the global citizen. They can face the challenges, competition that is going to arise. Right now, we are not dealing with the regional challenge, national challenge. Right now, students are dealing with the global challenge. So, Dr. Pramod sir,
Yeah,
your
ri-
suggestions.
right, right technology in the right way for the right purpose has to be adopted. The human touch, human trends has to be practiced. Teachers should be supported from every corner. They should be provided with the proper platform to scaffold students. The meta skill, metacognitive skills should have been the upper edge along with the life skills. Yes, school should be techno savvy to make them future fit schooling. School should be technology driven, data driven to create the future fit students. So the owner
Thank,
has to take care of all those things. Thank you.
thank you, Pramod sir. Thank you very much for this bullet points that you have highlights right now regarding the leadership skills for the owners. Tessa ma'am, your inputs to other these key decision makers who are leading from the front in the remote areas, in the most prominent areas as well, to make their students a global citizen. Tessa ma'am, your inputs.
So, in the role of an educator, your first and foremost mission should be to make children successful and get them ready for the future. And if that is the future, then it cannot be disputed, from any angle. So, where it comes to technology and where it comes to AI, it is definitely the future. And I mean, people say that in maybe 2 or 3 years, we'll all be wearing little chips inside our body for various things like maybe even controlling diabetes. So, if it is going to be coming into your body, and how can you disregard it or say that it's something that is fictional? It's not fictional. It is here. So if you are on a mission to make your students successful and future ready, then you have to embrace this and you have to bring it in whatever capacity. Like I said before, the resource or the amount of money that you have to resource your school has nothing to do with it. You can build a little robot using straws, and it can still work and it can still move. And if you are resourceful enough, that can trigger off a whole lot of other things. So I think just for educators to be open minded, to to allow children to take risks, to allow people to make mistakes. Nobody knows what the right answer is. But if you allow for
True, ma'am.
mistakes, then that is a step in the right direction, and it is something that must be encouraged.
Thank you, Teresa, ma'am. Thank you very much for this wonderful inputs regarding the leadership skills in the education domain. And I would like to request Anthony, sir, your suggestions, remarks to those leaders who have opened their school, who are right now working in the schools at the global space. Anthony, sir, your suggestions to them.
Again, I want to tell them that my opinion that AI is here, and AI is. I mean, nobody can deny it. So I would like to borrow something from Ma'am Teresa's speech, that be open-minded and research. See if you can't do something, or if it is not possible for you in terms of funds or something like that. Please ensure that you try and reach out and research over it, see how it can be done. Take the help of the government, the regulators, but never say no to it because you can't get it. It's not in your budgeted or in your resource, because there are heavy advantages of this. The whole purpose of a school is to improve learning outcomes of children, and this can personalize. Through this talk we have had, we have learned about having a newer curriculum, personalized learning, intelligent tutoring that can be there, training of teachers. All of these things, AI, etc., are intended to support teachers in the sense that mundane things that keep repeating, and they keep repeating, that should be nullified or reduced to an extent. So all of this is going to help teachers better the learning outcomes of students. So in no way can we brush this aside. We need to take it. So do anything in your capacity, reach out to people. There are a lot of people who are willing to help. The government is willing to help. So just don't
Thank
say
you.
no. It is here to stay. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony, sir, for this wonderful positive remarks. So I request all the owners and audience who are watching us, so please follow our speakers on the social handles as well. If you are feeling any challenges regarding the deployment of technologies, regarding the administrative part, regarding the academic part, they are really here to help them. Please ask them relevant questions on their social handles and please follow them to know more about innovations initiative they are doing. Ritesh ji, as you are the Chief Innovation Officer, so what new innovation has to be done in the leadership part of the school education? Ritesh ji, your remarks.
I would just like to start by saying when we as educators are defining policies are good, but don't make them so tight that they become hindrance for the people to fail fast and fail forward. I'm borrowing this from one of our fellow panelists today, that we need to allow our children, our teachers, and everybody else to fail and learn faster so that they can do better things with the technology which is already in the market. And the concluding point is, industry and education has always been far apart. Two things that we could try to do as educators is bring the industry closer to the school, and involve your students in leading initiatives which are going to impact technology implementation at school. Because everybody would agree here that when we had problems with any piece of technology, a student will be able to solve it faster than us.
Yes.
Yeah, make them the leaders in your project, and that will make a lot of difference.
Thanks, Ritesh. Thanks. Make the student is the front leader for this and technological development. Saifuddin ji, your remarks regarding the leadership, as you in the opening statement you have given strong remarks, life cycles regarding the betterment of the education. Saifuddin ji, what your remarks to those leaders, owners who are right now working at the remote areas and other areas of the school education regarding the deployment of technologies and other stuff?
I think in the rural areas of India, particularly, they are facing the most important challenge of the financial support. So probably the neighboring schools and the society can support, in addition to the support of the government, and for giving the support for the AI implementation in the school. We can see that compared to the other countries, government of India is not spending their budget too much on the education sector. So this
True.
must be a challenge for the government
Hmm.
to give a big cut to particularly to uplift the weaker section of the society. Because when we are talking too much about the inclusive setup, why don't we think about the whole country as inclusive setup? You are talking about the inclusion in the classroom or inclusion in the school. Let us look at the inclusion in the country. So if you are talking about the inclusion, yes, definitely equitable opportunities we have to provide to everybody. So I would say that the most important part of the role of the government, when you look at US, when you look at other developed countries, you can see the major cut of their budget is spending on education.
True, sir.
But what about India? India is not following that. So we have to recommend to the government to give a major cut of their expenditure should be to their educational sector, particularly at the moment we have to spend on the technology. That's,
Perfect.
that's my opinion.
Thank you, Saifuddin ji. And major point you have been raising regarding the if you not allot the budget, how the things can be changes. It will be same as last 10 years. It will be same again after 10 years. So by this, I will wrap up this session. I thanks all my speakers for giving their precious time to us and enlightening us with their views, with their key innovations and initiative they are taking in their campuses. And I would like to request all my audience who are watching us live on this platform, please follow our speakers if you want to know more regarding the innovations in the current education domain in the Middle East or in the global space. And if you have any query or relevant questions to be asked, please ping them. Please ask some relevant questions so that they can get back to you. So I by this I would ask Raman to please share the token of appreciation to our speakers. They, and this is the small token of appreciation from the World Education Summit Middle East side.
Thank
Speaker certificate is presented to Dr. Pramod Mahajan, School Director, Principal, Sahaja Indian School, Sahaja. Thank you, Dr. Pramod, sir. Thank you very much for enlightening us always, sir, giving your precious time to us. Speaker certificate is presented to Teresa Verman, Principal and CEO, James Millennium School, Sharjah. Thank you, Teresa, ma'am, for the wonderful remarks and enlightening us by in this current education space. Speaker certificate is presented to Anthony Koshi, Principal, Global Indian International School, Dubai. Thank you, Anthony, sir. Thank you very much for giving time to World Education Summit. And next speaker certificate is presented to Mr. Saifuddin Thanikat, Principal, Crescent English High School, Dubai. Thank you, Saifuddin ji. Thank you very much. And speaker certificate is presented to Mr. Ritesh Dhanak, Chief Innovation and Digital Officer, James Modern Academy, Dubai. Thank you, Ritesh ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
by this,
Great.
we officially wrap the first day of World Education Summit. And we have 7 more questions from the audience side. Major question we have already tapped in the discussion part. So there's 7 questions we will send to the panelists. If it seems worthy, they can revert it. Please send us on the mail. We will send back us to the audience.
Sure.
Otherwise, also drop your queries at education@digitallearning.in to all the audience. I am saying we will send your questions to the speakers, and they are really helpful in the nature regarding the solving the problem in any manner in financial, in terms of academics, administratives, or in terms of the technology deployment. So by this, Tessa ma'am, thank you very much. Ritesh ji, Safruddin ji, Dr.
Thank
Pramod
you.
sir, Anthony sir, thank you very much.
thank you.
Bye bye. Good.
Thank you all panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much.